Lucid Motors have once again dropped our jaws. This is the third time this month announcing that their upcoming electric sedan Air will have the fastest charging rate in the world. They've also announced a free fast charging deal with Electrify America, and its upcoming SUV pictures have been leaked. Their CEO Peter Rawlinson will be here to talk about it, as well as the InsideEVs contributor Tom Moloughney. My first impression from my day with Polestar 2: the cheapest electric car in America is finally launched. Elon Musk says Teslas will play elevator music through their external speakers. Porsche Taycan gets big and interesting updates, and Volkswagen ID.4 is finally going in production. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source for weekly electric car scoop. If you are interested in everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, all you have to do is click on the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Lucid Motors continues to make a case that once the Lucid Air hits the production next year, they will be a very serious competitor in the electric car market. Lucid has already made quite a few shocking announcements, including the fact that they have the most aerodynamic sedan in the world. Then they shocked us with 517 miles of EPA range, which was independently verified. Then they've announced that they have a working prototype of their own all-electric SUV, and now they're saying that Lucid Air will have the fastest charging rate in the world of 350 kilowatts. Now, obviously, this is the max rate, but let me also remind you that Tesla's max charging rate is 250 kilowatts, while Porsche Taycan's max charging rate is 270. The two fast charging networks with the highest charge rate are Electrify America and Ionity in Europe, and they both max out at 350 kilowatts. Lucid Air has a 900 volt system, while Teslas are at 400 volt and Porsche Taycan is at 800. However, the max charge rate is not exactly what Lucid is after. I caught up with their CEO Peter Rawlinson a few days ago, and hear what he had to say.
Again, this is once again going to be the highest max rate on the market, and that's what Electrify America and Ionity maxes out on. How was that achieved?
Well, again, we've taken a very scientific approach to the whole system, and we've been able to achieve a landmark 350 kilowatts of charging. But that only tells part of the story, because efficiency, and it's efficiencies that I'm passionate about, that's what really improves charge rate, because the 350 kilowatts is only the power going in. That doesn't really matter so much to the customer, to the driver. What the driver wants is how many miles of charge are going in, not so how many kilowatts. And because we've got this landmark efficiency, we can get over 20 miles per minute. So, you know, if you stop for just 5 minutes, you're getting 100 miles of charge.
Just in case if you are wondering why Peter was wearing that racing suit, well, it's because he was racing the Lucid Air against the top-of-the-line Tesla Model S Raven Edition and the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you the numbers that I have witnessed as they were doing the quarter-mile launches, but I strongly suggest that you keep your eyes on this space, as Lucid will be revealing them in the next few weeks. For more, we turn to the InsideEVs contributor, Tom Moloughney. All right, Tom, so you just heard Peter talk about how the max charging rate doesn't really matter. It's about what the customer actually going to benefit from, which is how many miles can I gain of range per each minute that I'm charging. Do you agree with that? And also, why are we chasing this kilowatt hour rate number rather than miles per minute number?
Well, before we go overboard and say that maximum charging rate doesn't matter, what I'd rather rephrase that and say that that doesn't tell the whole story. It does matter, and how much energy the car can take in is really important. But you have to combine that then with the efficiency of the car to get the whole story. And in this case, Lucid's cars, or at least they're telling us, are going to be extremely efficient. So they'll go further on every kilowatt hour they get. So you combine the fact that it can, ram 350 kilowatts, into the battery, with the fact that the car goes far on every kilowatt it gets, or every kilowatt hour it gets, then that says that the vehicle is going to get a lot of miles per minute. Lucid tells us as much as 20 miles of range per minute of charging, which it will be the best, in the business if it holds true that that's what the vehicle can deliver.
And another part of that story, maybe not as sexy, but it's also going to have the bi-directional charging. Can you explain what it is and why that's important?
Sure. So it's super sexy to me, by the way, but I guess I'm just an EV geek. I love the fact that they're bringing a car to market that can do vehicle to grid, connectivity. It's basically the EVs today, of every EV out there, except Nissan Leaf actually is capable of this too, but nobody really knows that or talks about it much, because while it's capable to, it doesn't do it. That means the car doesn't just take energy from the grid or your house. You come home, you plug it in, your home charges your car. The Lucid's going to be capable of delivering that power back to your house in the case of a power outage, or there's a bunch of applications. Lucid said, well, what if you own a little cottage out in the woods and it's off the grid, you'll be able to use your car to power the whole house. And in order to do that, you'll need to buy Lucid's home charging solution, because the car has to be able to communicate to the charging equipment to be able to deliver power as well as it can take it. So this is really a big step. In the future, all electric vehicles are going to be able to do this. But for now, Lucid is bringing a car to market, and it's going to be able to power your house if you need it to.
And another thing that people don't really talk about with these bi-directional chargers, another application, is that these cars would be able to charge other electric cars. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. There'll be a lot of things they'll be able to do, but being able to charge another electric car is one of them.
All right, excellent. And now I also want to talk about, a Lucid on a bigger stage now, because this is third or fourth news that we've heard in the last month where Lucid is actually claiming to be the new leader. Once they go in production, obviously that still needs to happen in the next half a year or so, in one of the most important key statistics and specs for electric cars. They've just announced the longest range for an electric car. Now we're talking about the fastest charge rate. I know there's a couple of other ones coming. So the best drag efficiency as well. Do you think Lucid can just be fast tracking themselves to getting up there as far as the new electric car brands are concerned?
Well, they're definitely, if you want to talk about under promising and over delivering, they didn't make wild, crazy claims, a couple of years ago about we're going to have the fastest EV, the fastest charging EV, the most efficient EV, all the longest range EV. They had said we're going to have great range, we're going to be very efficient, everything, but they didn't come out with these bold, crazy statements. But now, as we're getting close to launch, it's one by one by one, we're finding, oh yeah, it goes over 500 miles. Oh yeah, it charges at 350 kilowatt. Oh yeah, it's super fast. Oh yeah, this is how you do a proper launch. I have to give Lucid credit. I think they're doing a good job at this.
If you want to hear more from Tom, which I always do, don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel, and I put that link in the description of this video. Lucid has also announced that all of the Lucid Air customers will have 3 years of unlimited fast charging with Electrify America. And if all of this wasn't enough, we now know what Lucid's upcoming SUV is going to look like. If you remember, last week Peter Rawlinson broke some news right here on this channel, announcing that Lucid had a working prototype of the electric SUV. In that same interview, Peter has hinted that the SUV may make an appearance during the September 9th launch event for the Lucid Air. But now we don't really have to wait, because someone who was driving by in the Pascodera area in the Bay Area on August 15th in their Model Y recognized what was happening, which was the Lucid's promotional video shoot, and snapped a few pictures. It appears to be a pretty large SUV with 3 rows of seating and the same two-tone design as you can see in the Lucid Air, which was also part of the video shoot. As you remember, we came up with our own rendering with the help of the electric design based on what we've heard from our sources inside Lucid who have seen the SUV in person, and I think we did a pretty decent job. Let me know what you think of the Lucid SUV's design, but before we move on to the next story, let me remind you that this video and this channel is sponsored by Avanex, the Tesla community's accessory store. Use E4Electric, the name of this channel, as a discount code for all of your purchases over $100. Let's move on to the next story, and it is Polestar is starting deliveries of their all-electric sedan Polestar 2 in the United States next month. They've already started deliveries in Europe in July. A few days ago, I got to spend an entire day with the Polestar 2 driving it around the San Francisco Bay Area, and I gotta tell you, it is a very good electric vehicle. The media car that I was driving that day had the performance package, and it was very powerful, more than I can handle, honestly. It has a range of around 250 miles, even though the final EPA rating is not going to be available until September. The build quality is great, and of course, it has this European Volvo look that a lot of people really like. Of course, the Polestar is owned by Volvo. Now, the big question, will it compete with the Tesla Model 3? Now, I personally think it will not, simply because these two cars are built for two different audiences. Tesla Model 3 obviously appeals to those who love technology, and specifically Tesla technology, where the Polestar 2 will appeal to those who want a car made by a conservative European brand that will have everything that they need and nothing that they don't. The best part of the Polestar 2, in my opinion, is the fact that it will run on Google's Android operating system, and that means that you will get your own app store, something that you won't find in any Tesla. However, I was disappointed, at least for the time being, because the operating system and the interface is in a very early development stage and is pretty simple. Plus, the app store only had like 20 apps. I also was disappointed to find out that Polestar only sold 2,000 of these cars in the United States, and I'm wondering if they have the Audi e-tron syndrome. In other words, they don't realize what they have on their hands, and therefore they don't really know how to promote it. For example, as I was passing downtown Sacramento, I saw the Polestar being advertised on a billboard. First of all, nobody buys electric cars here in Sacramento. I gotta tell you, I've lived here for a couple of years, and when they do, they don't know what Polestar really is, and that billboard is really not helping. And also, you don't advertise the new technology in an old school type of a way, which is a billboard. The billboards advertise the old school technology, like, for example, gas stations, which is ironically was one of the ads running, and I kid you not, on the other side of that very same billboard. However, despite the misguided marketing that I think Polestar has for this car, this is a good electric car and it will find its audience. Kandi has finally become the very first Chinese company to sell passenger cars here in the United States. They have 2 models that they've launched, and one of them, K27, is going to be the cheapest electric car in North America. As a matter of fact, the first 1,000 of those cars will be sold at a discount, and after the federal tax credit will come up to just under $10,000. The virtual launch was a little cheesy, but very nice and cute, kind of went with the vibe of the car. They did make a mistake, as you can probably see on your screen right now, though I have to admit that I have made almost identical mistake earlier in this video. Did you spot that? As I mentioned earlier, Kandi is the first Chinese company to sell the passenger cars here in the United States. However, there is a bit of a caveat. Their CEO, Joni Tai, explained to me what it was in our interview last week. You are going to be the first Chinese-based company to sell passenger cars in the United States. And ahead of other bigger Chinese electric car manufacturers like NIO and XPeng Motors and BYD and so forth. As a matter of fact, you know, NIO is listed in our New York Stock Exchange and they're not selling any cars yet. Why do you think that is, and what made you guys, you know, go through all of the hassle of actually coming to America? Because I know that's not a easy logistically to do. Can you talk about that?
Well, unlike, you know, when you mentioned NIO, first of all, Kandi is also a public, you know, trade company on NASDAQ, right? And second, you know, unlike other Chinese company, as I mentioned to you earlier, we as CEO of Sports, now it's Kandi America, we have been here. So we are very familiar with, you know, how to work with, you know, local dealership. And then we've been selling off-road vehicles, you know, for decades. So that's why we know how to, you know, structure these automotive, you know, business. So for us, it's not something we have to come from China and then start from the scratch. Actually, we are just expanding our, you know, new category to electric cars.
I know we're halfway through the video and yet we have not mentioned Tesla yet. Usually Tesla is part of our headline, but they had a slow news week. However, they did have some fun news. Elon Musk announced that Teslas will be playing snake jazz and Polynesian elevator music through its external speakers at a low speed that is required by law to warn the pedestrians that the car is coming. I personally think that people should be using their self-driving hardware, which is their eyes, to see that the killing machine is just about to hit them. Plus, okay, but what are we going to do about those who are wearing earbuds or talking on the phone? I mean, at some point, you know, if people want to get hit by a car, they should be able to get hit by a car. I mean, this is a free country. Now, I personally don't know what the snake jazz or Polynesian elevator music sounds like, but I'm assuming it's a good thing, right? Let's move on to Porsche. They have announced some of the improvements and new features in the 2021 Porsche Taycan. First, they've improved the quarter-mile launch by 0.1 seconds. Now it's down to about 10.7 seconds, and the head-up display will now be in color. But one of my most favorite improvements is the fact that you will be able to purchase and even have subscriptions to some of the features, something like Tesla offers now, but the subscription model is something that I'm really liking. You will be able to purchase or subscribe to some of the functions on demand from Porsche, like their Range Manager, the Lane Assist, and the Adaptive Cruise Control. They will also implement the plug-and-charge technology, which is supposed to work smoothly with the Electrify America stations. This is the feature that Tesla had all along, where all you have to do is plug your car in, it will identify the car and your account, and charge your credit card accordingly. And as it was reported a few months ago, there will be a few extra exterior colors that you will be able to choose from, including my favorite. Let me know which color you think Porsche Taycan looks best in, but for now, let's move on to the Volkswagen ID.4, which just went in production, and the deliveries will start very shortly in North America. Volkswagen has invited me to check out this car in person, so I will do that in just a few weeks, so definitely stay tuned. And of course, as you know, the pictures of the car have already leaked through Chinese Ministry of something, and so we kind of know what it looks like, which I think is great. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the look of this car. As you can see, it's a crossover SUV, and it is based on the Volkswagen ID Cross concept, which also was a great looking concept. This will be the very first Volkswagen vehicle in the United States that is built on the electric MEB platform. It should have a range of anywhere between 250 and 300 EPA miles. The final numbers have not come in just yet, and the expected price should be around $35,000 after the $7,500 tax credit. A quick shout out to one of my newer Patreons, Kat. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon community. And if you would like to support this channel so I can eat, for example, you can do that at patreon.com/E4Electric. I put that link in the description of this video as well. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.